This is your sequence performance assessment example video. When you go into your quiz to get the problems assigned to you, you're going to see that there's two things in there. The first thing is you're going to be given a sequence, and you need to take that sequence and write the explicit and the recursive equation for the sequence you were given. Then you will see that you are also given an equation. You're going to need to take that equation and kind of work in reverse and write the sequence for that given equation. Okay, so I'll show you my example. So when I went into my quiz, the sequence I was assigned was this: 27, 9, 3, 1, 1/3. Okay, and so I'm going to write the explicit equation. And then after that, I will write the recursive. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to look at is I want to know what's happening when I go from one term to the next. What is my generator doing? What happens for me to go from 27 to 9, 9 to 3, 3 to 1, 1 to 1/3? Well, it looks like I'm dividing by 3, but whenever I'm talking about sequences, I always write division in terms of multiplication. So dividing by 3 is the same thing as multiplying by 1/3. So that's what my generator is doing. It's multiplying by 1/3 every time, right? Move this down a little bit here. All right, so once I see that, I know that I was given a geometric sequence, okay? So I know that it's going to look like a y equals a times b to the x equation because I have a multiplier. A multiplier tells me it looks exponential, so it's going to be a geometric sequence. So remember, instead of y, I'm using t of n, and instead of x, I'm using n. And I just now have to figure out the a and the b. Okay, now I know that my growth, my multiplier, is always attached to the x, so I know the b part of my equation is whatever my generator is doing. My generator is multiplying by 1/3, so that goes into this part of my equation. And then the other piece of the equation I need is my starting value. Now I know that sequences start with term 1, so I know that 27 is term 1. So I need to work backwards and figure out, well, what would the term be before that? What would term 0 be? So instead of multiplying by 1/3, I'm going to work backwards and multiply by 3, and I know that 27 times 3 is 81. So I know my starting value is 81. Okay, so I just have to remember that sequences always start with term 1, but when I write an equation, when I write a rule, I have to find the value of term 0 for the initial value in my rule. So that is my explicit equation. And now I also have to write the recursive equation for this sequence. All right, so I know that recursive equations always start with t of n plus 1 equals t of n, and then I'm just going to tack on my generator. So what is my generator doing? Well, in my equation, my generator is multiplying by 1/3. Okay, and then with recursive, I always know that I need to give the value of one of the terms. I could give the value of term 1, term 2, term 0. So I think I will just say that the value of term 1, t of 1, equals 27. But again, it doesn't matter which term, but I have to have a term to start with. All right, so now I have the explicit equation and the recursive equation for my sequence. All right, so that's the first part of my performance assessment, going from my sequence to my equations. Now the second piece is I'm given an equation, and the one I was given is t of n plus 1 equals t of n minus 7, and then they told me that t of 0 equals 5. Okay, so now what I'm trying to do is write the sequence represented by this equation. Okay, so let's see. I know this is recursive, right? And I know what they're saying that I need to do is that my generator is subtracting 7. Okay, so I know my sequence is going to decrease by 7 every time I move from one term to the next. I know that the value of term 0 is 5, but I also know that sequences start with term 1. So if the value of term 0 is 5, if I take away 7, 5 minus 7 gives me -2. So I know that term 1 has a value of -2. And then if I just subtract 7 again, take away 7 here, I get -9. And if I take away 7 again, I get -16, and I can keep doing that. And I want to make sure I include at least 5 terms. So I have 5 of them there. Okay, so that is my sequence for the equation I was given. And that's it. If you can do both of those pieces and show all of your thinking, then you'll earn full credit on this performance assessment. Good luck.